Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon, and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to be looking at 4 distinct games. 4 oddities in the tabletop role-playing market. And these games have all found themselves on my radar for more than a few reasons. Mostly with the presiding theme of that they are indie darlings in one way or another. I always find those kind of games interesting. Now, what are my qualifications for an indie darling? Effectively, a game that isn't big. A game that everyone seems to love. Everyone seems to fawn over. But I've never actually seen anyone play it. Or if I have seen someone play it or talk about them playing it, it's usually for a single session or something that isn't very big, something small, something controlled. Now, the 4 games we have on... Okay, which is the button? Which button? Okay. God damn it, every time. No, I didn't mean to hit that. See, this is why we have pre-stream when I get everything set up. Because inevitably, something will break. Because it's me. I can't have nice things. Let's go to the settings, the hotkeys. None. So it should be. So what I should be able to do... Wait a second. Is it this not seeing it? Yeah, okay, here we go. God damn it. OBS, please. So we're going to be looking at 3 different games. We're going to be looking at 4 different games. We're going to be looking at Robin Law's Hillfolk, a game of Iron Age drama. Troika, Luminous Edition. Numinous, I should say, edition. Hollow Earth Expedition. And before you say, Notepad, that's Savage Worlds. It's not, actually. I was very flummoxed by that revelation as well. And finally, Mork Borg. I got some opinions on Mork Borg, but we're going to save that one for last. Now, you may be wondering, all right, how are we going to be doing this? Well, we're going to start with Hillfolk, Troika, Hollow Earth, and Mork Borg. Now, the main reason is, if you look at the little numbers down here, if I can zoom that in a little bit more. Hillfolk is 238 pages, Troika is 120, Hollow Earth is 262, and Mork Borg is 96. Now, you'll quickly learn that 96 is actually about 10. And you may be wondering, what do you mean it's 10? It seems very small. The answer is yes, it does seem very small. Because there isn't actually that much game, per se. But we'll get to that in a moment. So let's reorganize my life, because it, like everything else, is rapidly falling apart. Alright, there we are. So, that is what we're going to be doing today. So let's start with our first game, otherwise known as Hillfolk, a game of Iron Age drama. Hillfolk is an odd one. Now, my first interaction with Hillfolk actually came a few years ago at this point, where I backed a game called Melandros. Now, Melandros is a game... let me see, Melandros, drama system. See, Melandros is a very pretty game. A game I always found appreciation for, and I actually backed it way back in the day, because it was a very pretty game for very pretty reasons. Set completely in the Brazilian, kind of in the end of the Empire of Brazil. The game is very simple, very interesting, and I actually got all of the various... I believe I got all of these except Kingsport Shore. And this one was, again, a Kickstarter. However, as with most games, mostly odd games like this, we have Kickstarter. And this one was an oldie. You may be wondering, what do I mean by that? The Hillfolk Kickstarter started out in, God, how long ago was this? Let's go all the way down. We want to load more. All the way down. Come on, all the way down. Further. Going all... Okay, we're almost there. Okay, we got 3 more. October 3rd, 2012. 2012. This game is almost 9 years old, which is odd to say, isn't it? The game is 9 years old, but we still have things coming out from it. Let's see, Melandros came out, would have to be 2015-ish. So, what makes Hillfolk so interesting? Well, the key thing was that it was this first start. Okay, I'm getting a ping up here. What? Don't go away. It's the first thing about it was that it was a new system, the drama system. Now, if we look at the drama system a little bit more intensely, introducing it's by Pelgrane Press. We've encountered Pelgrane Press before. They're the ones who do some odder games, but we like games. The last time we saw them on this series was actually #feminism. Yeah, these guys do a lot of very odd games, and they're the ones who kind of talk about odd ones. But Hillfolk was probably the big one. This was their big game. This was Hillfolk. This was supposed to be introduction of a brand new system that you can license out. There actually have been a few games using the drama system, not many though. So if we look, if we go back a little bit, see drama system. If we use the RPG Geek, what games do we have? We have 13th Age. Not much. And this is what kind of put it into this very odd world of indie darling. 2014 Any Best Game nominee. 2014 Diana Jones Award for Excellence in Gaming a winner. 2014 Diana Jones Award for Excellence in Gaming nominee. This game won a lot of awards. The system was very impactful for people. It was like, wow, look at this game. It's so amazing. It's so interesting. It's so new. Yeah. Trail of Cthulhu is actually not based on drama system. That is actually based off of one of Pelgrane's other games. Yeah, Melandros. If you are in my server, I can actually probably give you my copy of Melandros, because I fucking love that game. It's a very pretty game. But when we get deeper into Hillfolk, you'll kind of learn a little bit more about why the drama system sucks. It's not a good system. It is good for doing other things with it, though, and I will say that. So, let's see. Robin D. Law, I believe was his name. So, Robin D. Law. So, Canadian writer, game designer. Let's see what he's worked on previously. 13th Age, Ashen Star, Deadlands, Hell on Earth. He lit a little record there. Oh, he was in 3.5. Looks like he worked on some stuff for Earth Dawn, Fear Itself, Pelgrim Press, the Glorantha setting, some GURP stuff. Hillfolk was one of his baby. Rune, never heard of this one. Atlas Games 2001. Looks like he has worked on Trail of Cthulhu a little bit. Got some novels. So, a perfectly always there, but never quite having his big breakout. And overall, that's kind of interesting. Again, this is one of his games that he wrote. Let's see, Law's Turn, that room. Let's see. Looks like he's got a very odd track record with some things. But overall, Hillfolk turned out to be an oddity. So if we open this back up, let me double check, make sure I actually opened. Let's go through it again. Pelgrim Press, Drama System. Those are the only two things that we really know. 2013, Robert D. Laws, publishing arrangement. That's how it usually goes. We have all our various, our various pitches, which you'll get to. The illustrations, which the illustrations in this book are actually really good, very pretty. And then we have all of our Kickstarter backers, but of course. So, as you see, wow, there looks like there's a lot of stuff here. Well, not really. So, one of the things you'll notice is that he likes to do this. And he likes putting these little blurbs in between the entire book, which some people enjoy, but you do end up with a lot of pages like this. There's a lot going on here, and it's like, okay, so what's important, what's not? Sometimes things get laid out a little bit weird, but we're not going to worry about that. You will quickly learn that what you need is very odd, because you need 5 to 8 participants. That includes the Game Master. It can't hurt us. It cannot hurt us if it's over there. 1 deck of playing cards, supply of poker chips or beads, 1 red, 1 green, 1 yellow token per participant, about a dozen tokens of a 4th color, as many index cards as you have paper, writing utensils, scrap paper, time to weave an epic story. Have a smart form or laptop on hand. This game is diceless. And while the one, you might say, okay, the 1 deck of playing cards might say to you, all right, it's time for, a playing card RPG. Not quite. Yeah, you will time. Someone's cards just got dinged, I think. You will quickly notice that a lot of these games have a very, I don't want to say the P word, but it's the P word. They're a little bit pretentious at points, but that's why we love them. We love indie darlings for that reason. So one of the main things is that the entire game is broken up into 2 different categories, and it talks about procedural games and dramatic parts of games. Procedural is, I want to hit you with a stick, while dramatic games are, we're confronting internal obstacles. The drama system is not necessarily a game about rushing in to save the day. It's a game about knowing why your character wants to go in to save the day. Which, that's cool. We like that. It's cool. That's an interesting piece of information. But, which you'll quickly find out, they have to do it in a very roundabout way. And one of my thesis for this game can roughly be summarized as, this is a great tool for game masters to learn about their games, to learn about characters, to learn about how to give characters life. Because people aren't driven by, why do I want gold? Now, to a normal player, I want gold. All right, cool. That's a fine, narrative thing to kind of back people up. However, Hillfolk and drama system in general asks you very simply, why do I want gold? Well, I want gold to impress my people. I want gold to, buy my way out of debt. I want gold to help others. It gives a little bit more backing, a little bit more reason behind things. We also have things like Hamlet's hit points, works breaking them down to continuous elements or beats. He likes to liken Hillfolk and the drama system in general to very popular plays and very popular works of fiction in general. He's kind of put himself up there with them, which is a little bit disingenuous at points, but we don't talk about that. Yeah, the P word. Yes, it's the naughty little P word. So, creating characters encapsulates the series and setting, the land of its people, which you'll learn. Hillfolk doesn't mean anything. This is the drama system SRD, effectively. If you treat this game as like, oh, it's a game about, Iron Age drama, it isn't. This game isn't about that. It's the kind of the thirsty sword lesbians issue again, where it's a platform for other things to leap off of. They have an entire section about series pitches, which has nothing to do with Iron Age drama at all. But there are technically 18 steps to make a character. So the Game Master briefly encapsulates the series, determines precedence, which is a different thing entirely. First player in order proclaims his character's name and role in the tribe. Second player proclaims their role in the tribe. Third player, fourth player, for each remaining player in the precedence. All right. Wait, what is that? Oh, yeah. How can I forget? Defines a character's dramatic poles. A new precedence order. First player in the new precedence to find his character wants from any other player character. And then until all characters named as objects or at least two others characters once. Any unaddressed relationships are defined during play. Each. Why are you there? Hate to break it to you, this isn't the Brazilian one. That's Malandros. This is Hillfolk. Very different. I wonder, do I have Malandros? I know I do. Modernish. I've collected so much random shit over the years. My poor folder looks like garbage. My poor baby, my boy. Okay. I don't have it in my folder. I must have it in another folder. So, that's one of the things with this game, is that you are having to define a lot of things. It's a game about relationships, ultimately. It's not really a game about... It's not a game about doing things. It's a game about learning why your character does a thing. You get very pretty artwork. I love the artwork in this game. I think it's really pretty. And then we have your role in the band. These are all very important parts. What I'm going to do now... No. Yeah, so it's close to the 7th Sea and Blue Rose. No. Those games actually have mechanics. We're not even close to getting to where you actually do things yet. That's the funny part. It's a game about people, and you have practical goals and emotional drives. You go down your dramatic polls, and you're like, oh, well, what's your dramatic polls? And well, of course, in our perfect things, Rick Blaine from Casablanca, selfishness or altruism. Nora Helmer from A Doll's House, subservience is selfhood. Tony Soprano, family man or family man. Yeah, he likes Sopranos. And you get things like, oh, you have to have your dramatic polls. And the people who like Hillfolk are going to love Hillfolk. That's kind of the thing with it. The people who enjoy this kind of game are going to be all over. They slap that shit up. And I call them the drama kids. And the drama kids love these kind of games. Because you don't bother with the mechanics. The mechanics are there for us monkey brain, lizard brain people. Ignore them. You don't need the mechanics. What you're here is to bring structure to our dramatic role-playing. This is very much a role-playing rather than a rolling game. I made literally a rolling motion like you can actually see me. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. I swear. The longer I do this. Yeah, it's like, oh, I want her respect. I want her obedience. Alright, okay. We have action types. Don't worry, we finally got it. Here's all of the actions you can do. Permanent dramatic scenes, you'll occasionally want your character to achieve practical goals in the external world. The game breaks down practical actions into 7 broad types. In this stage, character generation, you designate 2 of them as your strong and 2 of them as your weak. Alright, let's see. Enduring, fighting, knowing, making, moving, talking, sneaking. And we also have to write a short phrase describing your speciality within the type. Haha, look at that. Like, oh. Yeah, here's more of these. I thought I knew you. That moment, I did not know myself. Or, you sneak in the corral and listen to what the northerners are plotting. What's in it for me? Drama. And that's one of the things that you can associate most of this game by, getting that really deep drama. Congratulations, you summarized the drama system in Hillfolk in a nutshell. It's drama with a capital D. And then we have the episodes. Yeah, instead of sessions, it's episodes, everyone. Ha ha ha. Introduce your themes. And each scene has a different, there's rules for calling scenes. And here's the cast, and here's the setting. We also need time breaks and the different modes. Yeah, and then the art is fantastic. I love this artwork. I wish it was in a different game, though. I wish this was a game of Iron Age drama instead of a game of drama with an Iron Age aesthetic. It kind of also makes sense when you realize that he worked on Glorantha, one of the premier Iron Age settings ever created by the madman known as Greg Safford. And it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense if you kind of put everything together. Of course they're going to do this really well. And I think one of the other things is the reason why this is Iron Age drama is to get people who, yeah. I think one of the things, this game, the Iron Age drama thing, I think that was secondary to everything else in this game. I believe that the drama system was written first. Then the Iron Age drama part was put on. Because if you look at Pelgrim's Press things with their big thing was Glorantha. That was one of their big sellers during this time. So of course, if you're like, oh hey guys, Glorantha, y'all like that, like yeah, we all like it. Being like, hey guys, what if we added in more? What if we added more Iron Age stuff? And everyone was like, yay, we love it. And then they got it, and they're like, oh, okay. And then each scene has a different thing, and mind you, we have not actually figured out how to like make a check. I always call it the pole vault situation. How do I pole vault in this game? The game can tell you how you pole vault. Congratulations, you successfully, answered a question. Some games don't let you pole vault. I always find that kind of be an issue. Then you have time jumps, and challenging a plot jump, because yeah, you can challenge plot jumps, because you have to spend your meta currency. Because there's meta currency, there's like 5 meta currencies. And we have dramatic scenes. All participants, including the GM, collect and spend drama tokens throughout the course of an episode. Everyone starts each episode with 0 tokens. Central Psy Kitties contains an inexhaustible supply of the tokens. We recommend blue tokens to represent drama tokens. Any color other than red, yellow, or green will do. Drama tokens left unspent at the end of the session contribute to the player's chance of winning bennies, page 47, and then revert to the kitty. They do not carry over to the next episode. Tokens do not represent or simulate anything in fictional reality or collectively depicting. Instead, they are bend events towards satisfying literary rhythm, where the characters sometimes prevail and sometimes are defeated in emotional confrontations. They overcome the gamer's natural tendency to always dig in when challenged, forcing them to play their character like real people, impelled by emotional need and obligation. Which is to say, you're not playing a player character, you are playing a person, you are acting. And sometimes actors you need an actor to lose. Which again, is fine for capital D drama games. And that's what this game is, a capital D drama. So, we're going through resolving dramatic scenes. It's literally, you're talking. That is what a dramatic scene is. It is talking. And then you talk, and then you deal with people, and then you talk some more. And no, that would this seems like willpower or inspiration, but unnecessarily complex. No, that would imply those mechanics are in place. Like World of Darkness willpower is in place to pretty much have a limit on your own power and to kind of negate others' power. It's to give you, the player, the vampire, the werewolf, the changeling, whatever, like, okay, I am a supernatural awesome guy who does supernatural awesome things, and I'm going to power through this, but I'm, expending a resource that is very finite. Inspiration is like, hey, you did something cool, here's some inspiration. Hey, you did something fun, here's some inspiration. The best way I can word this is that it is a mechanic to encourage people to roleplay. And not necessarily like it is encouraging people. If we use the idea of Hamlet being a player character, we need to make sure Hamlet's player doesn't want to win, because we already know Hamlet's ending. It's a method for us to sort of, like, again, it's a very complex system for a very simple idea. Chooses not to relent, and may spending 2 drama tokens force a greater grand significant emotional concession. Practical level, but nonetheless represents meaningful shift in emotional power. End of the scene, force a grand to receive 2 drama tokens from the petitioner, provided the force actually takes place. The grantor player may block a force by spending 3 drama tokens. It's literally a method for people to simulate back and forth. Because as players, we are not emotionally invested sometimes in our own characters. We are instead... I am not Axe Handle, chieftain of the Axe tribe. I'm Notepad Anon, and I'm sitting in a chair, and I'm I'm drinking a coffee, and like I might after the stream I might go over to my kitchen and get like get a water bottle or something. It's to simulate I am axe handler, me want thing, me want more thing, me want less thing, me want you to do thing. It's very, how do you force people to be dramatic? That is what this mechanic is. And then we have dramatic scene example. Again, it's dramatic scene examples, special cases, no contest scene, multiple petitioners, because if you try to replicate things, you have to replicate everything. Because we've all been in a situation where 3 people are like, you gotta do this, man. And in game, it's like, yeah, they just have, if we go with pure mechanics, they have more influence over us because they're just more of a, they have more drama tokens to do things with. But in the game, they have to account that, make sure that's like people can still not relent depending on who you are, and It's rules for role playing. And I think that's one of the main reasons why this game didn't kind of grow as much as one might think. You know, it's like here's like an entire thing of drama token uses. Mind you, we have not even hit how, like, what cards are. Because, yeah, there's a... This is how you resolve things. For procedural resolutions, you acquire a deck of standard playing cards. Jokers are removed. Always shuffle the deck beforehand. Okay, so you've seen the location, blah, 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 blah. Okay, for the opposition. The GM secretly spends one of her available tokens, concealing so it has revealed to flourish at the conclusion of a scene. She might pull from a purse, pocket, or move aside a piece on paper. The color of the token reflects the strength of the obstacle standing between the players and success, because there are different token colors which represent different difficulties depending on your own strengths and weaknesses, which also requires different cards to do different things. I think you're kind of realizing that you don't need it. This isn't here for that. And it's like, where's the target cards. You know, players have to spend their tokens to draw cards to do their own things with. And yet, then, you know, when a player spends a red token, the GM always removes from the play the best available match, prioritizing as follows: cards with the same number, cards with the same suit. If 2 or more cards are equally good match, it doesn't matter which GM chooses. It's just like, alright, okay. And it's like, okay, the final result. If we succeeded, okay, the opposing force is great. The GM's token is green. All we need is the same value as target. Middling versus yellow needs the same suit as the target. You know, puny versus red, you need the same color. And it's like, okay then. You know, there's personal consequences. You know, there's problems and issues, and things need parts. But at the end of the day, this is what it is. Spends for the opposition, draws a target card, players spend and draw, final result. That's it. But we also have to go through all of this to get it. Which, I think you all can kind of see what the big issue with this game is that it is a very dense game. It's supporting characters. There's the bennies. There's... Oh, and then we have all the notes on play. But there you go. That's the game. And you may be wondering, Notepad. There's like 300 more pages to go. What? What do you mean there's like 300 more pages to go? Well, the game ends at page 51. That's where the game ends. There isn't really anything more after that. However, everything after page 51 is effectively a GMing masterclass. How do you change relationships? How do you manage player called Steam? Unstumping the stump, guiding player characterization. All right, we want to. Why don't you use the Hillfolk cards? You want to hack drama system? Here's all of the, all of the different geographies. I like this system, the land and its people. I like this system because it gives people power over the world that they inhabit. I think that's a cool idea. If I were to ask everyone, what are the people into the South are like? They are mean, they are scary, and they want to conquer you. What are they like, though? One player said, well, they're, South, maybe they're like a nomadic people. Very nomadic, they have no villages unto themselves, but they are raiders, they are scary. But, all right, cool. They're raiding people on horseback constantly. They're always moving to and fro, and they raid the shit out of you guys. They're scary. There's something that's intimidating you. All right. What are the people to the west? The people to the west, they're right next to the coast. What are they like? Well, they're kind of like us. They're almost just like us, but they're also different. They have a different culture, different ideas, but we kind of have this uneasy alliance with them. We're okay with them in their very rich cities and their very rich areas. They're kind of okay with us, but we're seeing kind of more of an annoyance. And then, the people to the north are savage but passive. What are they like? Oh, well, they're barbarians, and they're barbarous, but because they are kind of from a completely different culture than ours. We've already established a world here, and this is what this section is all about. Like, how do you ask these little questions, and who goes there? Because you have things like this. This is all you get. Here are the Hillfolk. Here's the belts. Here's the shell grinders. The eye burners are over there. The brick squares are there. The Empire of the Redbeards. But who are they? What are they like? And I think that's something that I like taking from this game. And I've taken before, actually, for a few of my games. It's how do you get players involved in a setting? Well, you get them because they're putting something in. This is, we're encountering a problem over there. We know about it now because we made it. To the north, we have these savage barbarians. They're terrible, awful, smell bad, always want to steal our shit, but we know that why they're that way. Which allows also the game master to play on that a little bit. Well, we're going north. Like, everyone has a pre-idea, but we also kind of learn a little bit about them. We're playing with those ideas. Or they have, the people on the coast, they have their own identity, their own riches, their own weaknesses. Maybe they're soft. Maybe we view them as soft and weak. Maybe we view them as, overly advanced. We're the barbarians to them. How the hell do they view the people of the north, the people of the south? I think that's what this game excels at. It teaches you, a game master or a player, how to roleplay, how to get into a setting, how to get into a feeling. And that's always cool. I like that. Shame about the system. And this is one of those things where I say, the Iron Age stuff doesn't matter. It's never mattered. You have, Morningstar Film, Hollywoodland, ha ha ha, look, it's 1914 now, and that's just what it is now, sorry. Mad Scientist Anonymous. Moscow Station in the Cold War. World War 2.1. Stranded time tower torn between struggle to return home, the conflagration of World War II. Malice Tarn. 1,000 enemies, forgotten tragedies. Truths collide. It's Watership Down, everyone. It's just Watership Down. But all of these have bunnies. Yes, bunnies. But you're also like, all right, here's, oh, your brigade, during the Spanish Civil War. It doesn't matter. And that's what the rest of the book is, arguably. Just these little pitches and little... I never even realized this was here. That looks really wonky. But that's all these next pages are. Is just endless amounts of... Well, here's a different setting. This is over half the book. I would say, so if we go all the way down to when they start. If you came for Iron Age drama, the game ends at page 78. The rest of these are settings. Now, they're cool. Don't get me wrong. I like a few of these, actually. They're kind of interesting. They have their own personality to them. However, I bought a game... If I were to buy a game and about Iron Age drama, and I get this, I'm like, oh. It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, here's my, here's my psychic drama, I guess. Like, all right, that's fine, I guess. So we're going to move on to our next game. Now, the conclusion for Hillfolk is great tool to read on, have some interesting ideas with, avoid the system, because it is pretentious. It's the P word. But that brings me to my second game. If one thought Hillfolk was a little bit wonky, ready to get blinded by Troika. Troika is, you can almost argue, to be the exact opposite of Hillfolk, at least in terms of design, of how it looks. This game looks weird. It is also very simple. Very, very simple. Yeah, and written by Daniel Sell. So let's go on a little bit of an adventure, shall we? So, Troika... Of course, there was a Kickstarter. It's always a Kickstarter. Complete science fantasy RPG, critically acclaimed. Let's see, rules light, beginner friendly science fantasy role playing game. That is a word sandwich right there. But yeah, welcome to. Okay, who are you? Melosian Arts Council. Designed for Troika. Troika. Everything is Troika. Let's see. Pocket Dimension. Wet Grandpa. What is Wet Grandpa about? Whatever the fuck this is. So it looks like they have Dungeons and Dragons books. Oh yes, of course. Look at these adventures. Okay, let's look at others. What other book? Pocket Dimension Notebook. No. Zines or zines, I believe. Looks like it's the Undercroft, which they only have 11, 12, and 13. So, let's see. Daniel Sell. Tell me your secret. Yep, King of Games. Oh no. Oh no. What? Oh no. Okay, he looks like he's having Oh, he looks like he deleted everything. Oh. Okay, looks like that's not a good sign. Yep. Okay, Troika RPG. Oh, don't worry, we found it. Open Games license. Wait a second. I saw you. Don't think you can get away from me. Hello, Troika. Okay, looks like he's got a patron. Okay, looks like he runs the council. Let's see. Does he have anything else? He's got Twitter. Okay, he runs the Art Council Twitter. Academies of Arcane. Okay, looks like this is their new book. 36 new backgrounds. Wait a second, this is a Troika game. Next official release for Troika. Wait. What? Okay, so this is the second edition for Troika. He also has a. All right. We learned a lot. What is Troika? What is Troika? What is this game actually? The answer is yeah, that's kind of one of the main reasons why I actually decided to do this particular series. This particular curious case anyway on these games. It's the critically acclaimed game that nobody has played. It's this, oh, look at this popular, wonderful game that we love. No one has ever played it. No one has ever, or people who've heard it, it's like, oh yeah, it's this game. Ha ha ha, look, it's this game. It's like, what? Alright, that's fine. Everyone kind of nods, like, alright, that's fine. So, this is also one of the few games where, by technicality, you start character creation at page, let's see, you start character creation at page 2 and end up page 40. Because there's a lot. Because what you have to do is that everything is D6 driven. It is a D6 system. However, they use the Japanese idea of a D6-6. So technically, if you want to determine your initial class, let's get out my 2D6 here. I rolled a 2 and a 6. Let's see what I get. So if we go through, this is how we roll 1d3 plus 3 to determine skill. Roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine stamina. Roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine luck. Here's all your baseline things. Backgrounds. The hell, that's what you want to do. And then we have Ardent Giant of Korda. The Flower Pawns. Burglars. Yeah, pretty much. This game, when did this game come out? Troika's been out since... Troika is about, God, how old? 2018. So this game is 3 years old. Troika. And I still see people talk about it on fucking, like, itch.io all the goddamn time. So, you're kind of seeing already some of the interesting... The art of what this game is what this game is. The art is very pretty. It's very nice. And it's like, oh, well... Look at me, I'm a dwarf. And, I have a masonry hammer, and I roll for a roll of artist supplies, ha ha ha. And here's all my skills, ha ha ha. Here's also my specials. But you also get things like, oh, you're the exotic warrior. So, with my 2 and 6 here I rolled, I would be the Fellowship of Peerage Porters and Vassal Fillers. Luggers are a servile group by nature. It's often found in the services of others, weighted down by loads would buckle a donkey. there are very odd parts to this game, and some are really interesting. I like some of these. You're a mercenary retained in the exclusive service of Phoenix Throne. Handsomely paid and sent to distant spheres on golden ships to spread infallible glory of your lords to the tip of your flaming sword. If I wanted to run a Kill 6 Billion Demons game, arguably this is what I would use. And that's high praise. I won't say that isn't high praise. Mostly because Kill 6 Billion Demons cannot help but fuck itself over these days. But it's like there's so many goddamn, Rhino Men, Sorcerer of Academy of Doors, Sorcerer of the College of Friends, Fellow of the Sublime Society of Beefsteaks, Thaumaturges, Thinking Engines, Vengeful Child, which I like the Vengeful Child. This is actually kind of a funny one. Be like, yeah, I have an overly large sword that doesn't do anything except it's just too big for me. Wizard Hunters and Youngardi Lawyer. Like, again, it's completely wacky. It's completely weird. It's one of those things where it's very bizarre. And I think that was the part that kind of hit me immediately with Troika. And I like that part about it. It's weird. It's very strange. It's like, oh, you didn't need it anymore. You found his apologists and paid them to remove your troublesome forebrain. You have no starting possessions. You have thrown off the shackles of civilization. You are probably nude. It's a bizarre game in a bizarre world. And everything is driven by D6s. Rolling under is throwing D6 with the intention of scoring equal or under a number. Unopposed situations like climbing a wall or casting a spell. Yeah, it's a roll under. So it's effectively at its core, it's a 2d6 roll under system. That is all this game is. Very simple, very easy. You don't need it. This is not a complex game. Like, no point of this game is like, all right, time to make things wacky. Like, nah. And I'm going to give it a background plus their skill is referred to as the skill total. The freshly made Rhino Man with skill 4. This means he starts with 7 spear fighting, 6 run, 6 strength, and 5 gambling. Just stamina's your health. Oh, more tokens. God, we love tokens, don't we? I actually didn't read through Troika as much as I did the others. In combat, other times important, goes first. You need to assemble the initiative stack. Color dice or other convenient markers. Or you can just roll 2d6, and whoever has the highest goes first. I don't know. Call it wacky. Enemies, rationale, actions. Hit someone. Shoot someone. Cast a spell. Retrieve an item. Grapple. Yeah, it's a simple game. And I've had people compare like, oh, it's like an OSR game. Sort of. But you also have things like, do you need all these things? No, the game is about having those wacky initial items, those wacky initial characters. Because if you're noticing something already, this doesn't actually have much. These are very plain. No art, nothing too interesting. Here, it's very simple, very to the point. You don't need anything more. Why would you? And we're still going through spells because we can't escape D&D and its love of fucking spells. Art is very sparse here. As like, oh, true C, undo, double cost of the original spell. It's a very odd game. Not like character skill. We're going still. Then we have our bestiaries. Because again, we can't get rid of these. Echo dots, goblins, gremlins, harpies, calibets, knights of the road, living dead, lizard man, loathsome worm that will consume the sun. What? Man bees. Like, it's... This game is very simple to make things for. Which was, I believe, be the point. This game isn't about making a deep and, crunchy game. This game is about having, making the bare minimum of making everything you need to make a game. But nothing else. Yep, this is the character sheet. That's it. And yeah, again, it's the kind of game that I understand why it's kind of acclaimed. However, my thing with it, it's a very simple game. Very simplistic, very easy, and it's also to its benefit to a degree, because what you see a lot with this game is that a lot of people go and create things for it, because it's an open license. I can create anything I want for Troika. I can create entire, new, worlds, new ideas, new anything, and publish it. It could be used with Troika. I can get paid for it. There's a lot of homebrew, a lot of monsters, a lot of things with it. But that was the point. That was almost the point of this kind of game, which I admire. I admire that greatly. That this game wasn't... I'll notice this with this and Mork Borg. So these kind of share the same thing. This isn't a game about being complicated. It's a game about having a very simple idea, having a very simplistic concept, and saying, all right, we're going to make something out of this. Here's the base tools. Here are all the little parts that you can slap together. Go for it. Do whatever you want with it. You want to add a complete new set of weapons? Cool. Can't stop you. You want to add 50 bajillion new spells? I don't know. That's sure. Why not? Hey, you want to add 100 new classes? Yeah. All right. I don't care. You want to add new mechanics? Yeah, sure. Go for it. It's a platform. It's something that allows you to embrace it. However, the catch, the double-sided sword of this argument is that you lose something with some of these games. You lose some of the bite that really turns a game from... How do I word this? You lose something that turns a game from a well-known classic to an indie darling. We love Troika. Everyone loves Troika. But it doesn't have that same crunch. It doesn't have that same uniqueness to it because it's so open. It's not his. Not anymore. Troika, the second it was released to the, has the license and all that, it's not theirs. Never was. It's everyone's. Troika's a game. Anyone can put what they want into it. I could write an entire series of grim, dark, really grounded stuff for Troika, and there's nothing they can do about it. No part of the game really has that necessary grounding, which is odd to say. And this is a science fantasy setting. Doesn't need to be, because again, it's so open. It's so available for everyone that it loses its own identity somewhat, which some people like. I'm not going to lie, some people love it. Some people are going to hop on this game immediately and say, I love it. It's the greatest game known to human history. I want more. I need more. And that's cool. I like it. That's fine. Let me see. We want to do... let's see. Let's see what I can do. We want to do... Actually, let's do Troika. So, this is one of those parts where, I mean, like, you lose some of the identity. All of these are Troika books that people have created. And probably if you Google around, you're going to find 100 others. You're going to find a dozen or more. You're going to find more, more character, more things here. You're going to find more tarot based ones, more different character sheets. You're going to find, more things for people to do things with. Oh, nice. Again, if anyone ever has any ideas for games they want to be like want me to go over, like just DM it to me. If you're in my server, like just DM it to me or post it there. But like that's, I think, one of the biggest sins of Troika is being so open that you lose some of that grounding, that meat. But that does bring us to our next game, in Odd Duck, a game that constantly gets recommended, but I've never seen any actually play because I thought it was a different game. Welcome to Hollow Earth Expedition. Hollow Earth Expedition is not actually a Savage Worlds game. I thought it was too. Don't worry, everyone. I thought it was a Savage Worlds game. It has the right font, it has the right look, it has the right... Everything about this game says Savage World. Of course, it's Savage Worlds. Yeah. We like Savage Worlds. But it's not. This is far, far from it. This is actually by a company called Exile Game Studios. So if we do a little bit of Googling around... Yep. Exile Game Studio. Their big thing is a video game developer. They did Hollow Earth Expedition. And Seattle, Washington resides Serious Calamity near Apocalypse. They did Hollow Earth Expedition. This was their game, the thing that they focused on. But you may be wondering, Notepad, where are they? What happened? I don't know. These guys, I've tried to find things on them, but every time I do, nothing. It goes nowhere. Something happened to these guys. I don't know what occurred, what happened, but they're just not a thing anymore. You can find them around. You can find, this was an Emmy Award winner, like an Emmy Award nominee. Everyone, this was Hollow Earth Expedition. This was the big boy. This was going to be the game. However, the odd thing is, if we look here, it came out in 2007, I believe. Where is it? Jeff Combos. Bloody hell. Yeah, nothing. So if we look here, Hollow Earth Expedition. Yeah, it came out in 2006. This game is nearly 14 years old. 14. And in case you're curious, Savage Worlds came out in 2003. So if we look here, Savage Worlds came out in 2003. And you can kind of see the same. The similarities. Mostly when it comes down to use of the ubiquity system, and everything goes back to Hollow Earth Expedition. That's kind of the shame about it, almost. They've almost been lost to the sands of time. Once beloved, now, well, this. So what makes this game interesting? Well, it's a pulp game. Very pulpy, incredibly pulp. And it relies on the Hollow Earth theory. Now, if you've watched the recent King Kong or Godzilla movies, you have a vague idea of what the hell the Hollow Earth thing is. This takes it to a completely new degree. And if we go all the way down, we have our basic what is role-playing. Like, you can already see here why this game was, dare I say, popular during its time. Because one of the big things you have to realize, like, this was right during the 4E thing. 4E was in full swing. D&D was not doing too hot. 5E was not around the corner. Pathfinder had started coming out. The market was open. It was time to change things. And they did. And it goes over 1930s. It goes over the 1930s, world in graphic detail. And that's the point. That's what it wants to do. It's like, look at all these wacky things going on. Because you have, you have this wacky man in charge. You have a very wacky man in charge in the world. And it's something that you just kind of have to look. And it goes over every single thing, too. Which is odd. Because it's like, yeah, this is a game about pulp adventures. Of course you got to go over everything. And what it does is that it uses something called the ubiquity system. The ubiquity system is, take my 2 dice here, I roll them, I scored 0 successes because I don't have any evens. It is an evens odds system. If you roll even, you get a success. If you roll odds, you roll nothings, which don't take away successes, but don't give any. That's everything. That is the game. Very simple. You can use any kind of dice for it too. And that's arguably one of the biggest draws, is that I can make this a D6 game. I could use D4s. I could use coins even. Heads or tails. Obviously using heads or tails is a terrible idea and you shouldn't do it, but I digress. And you have all these options. This was right during that 2007. Options are cool. Here's some new systems. Here's some new things. It's almost like a time capsule for that late 2000s game design theorem. This was before the story game revolution really kind of hit, and before things like Apocalypse World really took the world by storm. This was right during the Pathfinder. We like crunch, we like our 3.5s, and like Shadowrun, we like those crunchier games. And that's of course why we have the disease and toxin table. Of course you need it. Of course, we have, the thousands of different things, very granular, very specific. You need it. Of course you do. But why? Well, because this game was trying to emulate something. It was a game of its time. Making a game like this now, you need to simplify all of this down. But you have things, again, like you have your defense rating, your health rating, your stun rating has a stun gauge, for God's sakes. Your size determines attack, defense, health, max body size, your height, your weight, arguably, it feels like a child of D&D and World of Darkness. Arguably, yes. It's 2007. Again, you had Pathfinder was kind of in its heyday. 3.5 was still kind of lauded as like the true D&D, and 4th edition was getting railed. Nobody liked to change things too much. And then you had the World of Darkness was entering, 2007 World of Darkness. What were you, World of Darkness, in 2007? Let's see. Yeah, you had Monty Cook's World of Darkness come out. Like, World of Darkness was still kind of in its height. I think White Wolf still owned, actually, Onyx. Let's see, Onyx Path. Onyx Path Bounding. Yeah, 2011. Yeah, White Wolf still had all of the original World of Darkness stuff. So, if you combine everything together, you combine all the parts of this odd time, just sprinkle them all together, you end up with a very odd game. A game before its time, but also ahead of its time. A unique system trying to kind of ride the coattails of an older system. And arguably, the game is pretty good. The game is really good. It has a lot of interesting parts to it. Art is important. And you have a bajillion skills. People like this. And one of the big things, too, is mad science is the thing. Magic is the thing. Here's all your talent. Here's your bajillion talents. Because, of course, you need 100,000 talents, all that do to something slightly different. And like, every single one of these has its things. You have your resources. Like, here's your allies, your artifacts, your contacts, your fame, your followers, your mentor. It was we want the D&D crowd, we want the World of Darkness crowd, we want to merge them together, have our game. And everyone knows pulp stuff. That's the odd thing. Everyone kind of knows that pulpy, perception of things. Haha, it's me, Indiana Jones. I'm going to shoot a Nazi because they're evil and they're trying to steal the Ark of the Covenant, or they're trying to steal an ancient artifact using, that can cause the end of the world as we know it. The perpetual 30s, the good guys, bad guys, larger than life characters. It was a kind of a perfect storm of ideas, all crushing together. The problem is, it was a perfect storm of ideas, all coming crushing together, but having absolutely nothing outside of that. And hitting it right before a lot of the it was before the revolution, before things changed as drastically as they did. And I think that was almost to its greatest detriment. Because it didn't have the staying power of other games. It wasn't story gamey enough for the story game revolution. It wasn't simple enough to kind of go into that weird OSR circle, but it wasn't Pathfinder, it wasn't D&D enough to have that, cultural inertia to kind of seize that power. It didn't have that crunch to really satisfy those people. It didn't really have the edge of World of Darkness had. It was a perfect amalgamation of every single popular thing during this time, but appealed to no one. Not a single person was like, this is my game. This is the game for me. Let's do it. Let's hop into this game and let's play it to the end of time and let's shill it everywhere. Because it didn't really do anything exceedingly well. And I think that's why I kind of put it on here as the indie darling. This game is almost a perfect example of mixing with theme, with ideas, with crunch and lightness, all of it coming together, and it's like, all right, let's do it together, and it's nothing. Nothing at all. Doesn't do anything particularly well. And I think one of the biggest sins of this game is that it came out after things like Savage Worlds, who kind of hopped on the pulp train really well and is a robust system for what it does. It didn't come out early enough for the story game, guys. It didn't come out late enough to every part of this game feels like it was wasted. There was a point of this game that you could have made this game could have been. It's odd because this game feels like in another world, in another alternate world, everyone talks about Hollow Earth Expedition. We're on the fucking 3rd edition of Hollow Earth Expedition, everyone, and everyone hates 2nd edition because 2nd edition changed the jungle missionary, the missionary one that's not as powerful, and they added some skills, and everyone's happy for 3rd edition coming out finally. And then it has the general on TG. It's the Hollow Earth General, and everyone's talking about pulp stuff, and people always recommend it, being like, oh, I want to run a pulp game. It's Hollow Earth Expedition. Use the ubiquity system. But it's not that. This isn't the alternate world we live in. So we end up with this beautiful child that is forgotten because it was the middle one. Honestly, here's the sad thing. If you were to release this today, you were to bring out Hollow Earth Expedition 2, this game would sell like hotcakes. Because you can ride off the MonsterVerse stuff pretty well, because they deal with Hollow Earth stuff. You can run a Kong game in this. You can run a kind of a little bit of it has a little bit of that crunch because the story game Revolution's kind of falling off. You can run it with that and it's simple enough that anyone kind of understands it. I'm gonna roll 2 dice and okay, cool, I got a success because I got a 6. It's easy to understand. You roll a bunch of dice, find evens. Anyone can do that. Kids can understand this game. The basic dice mechanic. There's no complicated multiplication. There's no tokens. There's no mass numbers. Just roll dice. I got a success. I got 5 successes, and I'm awesome, and I have saved the damsel in distress. But we didn't get that. We didn't get this beautiful art. We didn't get any of the parts in this game to really find it. We ended up in a world where we don't get that. It's like, oh, hey, here, let's fight Triceratopses. We want to spend style points for bonus dice. Boosting talents, we experience points. It's a tragedy of situation. And I would like to actually use something with the ubiquity system. Because the system's so easy. So simple to understand. Roll a bunch of dice, evens or successes. Simple. Anyone can get that. Someone's never played a tabletop game. You can kind of get them to understand it immediately. Oh, hey, I wanna... hello there, it's me, Daring Adventurer Man. I'm going to shoot this Nazi in the face using my revolver. Ha-ha! The game writes itself. But Ubiquity system only really applied to two systems in its time. That being Hollow Earth Expedition. What was the other one? It was Earth. If you ever want to see the tragedy of things, Ubiquity system role-playing. And the only other ones that it applied to was Hollow Earth Expedition and where was the other one? Space 1889. Which I actually thought was a Savage Worlds system. I thought it was Savage Worlds. And I think that's one of the tragedies of the situation is that, oh, it's Savage Worlds. Like, let me see, Savage Worlds setting. Let me see, Savageopedia. Like, I can swear there is a... I can see in my mind's eye another game with this exact same premise as, you know, Mars 1888. And like if we even like Google Pulp Attack of the Giant Monsters is there. Hope and Glory, Spirit of 1786, Ravaged Earth, you know, Harold Lovecraft and Tesla. Like we have all of this, and Savage Worlds is a generic system that allows you to do all of that immediately. But we don't have that. But we don't. That's a weird system. I'll read that later. But I would like to see this employed, because what other fucking game do you have a lady riding the head of a goddamn T-Rex while shooting it with a shotgun? Lady Blackbird? Yes. Lady Blackbird. Very, very interesting game. ...2009, John Harper. Let me see. Yeah, all of these growing collection of free games by John Harper. Yeah, these all technically use it, but they're all very simple. Like, they're very simple games. And actually, let's see. Yeah, dice pool system. Again, I love Lady Blackbird. I think that's a really cool game because it uses very little, you know, very little amount of stuff to use, but it uses it effectively, and I like that about it. But that's... I might actually do a curious case one day on Lady Blackbird, like little tiny games like that, because I like Lady Blackbird that much, and I want more people to talk about it. But all of these are... You have a bunch of healing things. You have all the environment, diseases, drowning and suffocation, fire, falling. People, the game, this doesn't appeal to, dare I say, normal people. This is appealing to the people who like that 3.5 era. who likes that Pathfinder. Like, oh, look at all the equipment. Look, I can get a two-handed club. I can get a cutlass, entrenching tool, kukri, rifle. But I can get all these different things, but not really having that same bite, you could say. Some people want something a little bit lighter, and this was, again, right during that time when people were aiming toward that lighter method of play. This wasn't as popular. And that's kind of a damn shame in more ways than one. You know, it's all the land vehicles, and it had some interesting parts about it. I like that. Like, oh yeah, here's all the weird science, and like, hey, here's robots, and here's all these cool things. Like, here's how to run pulp adventures. And I think that's kind of its own tragedy, its own failing. Would I like to see a rebirth of Hollow Earth Expedition? Yes, but I know that if I were to get a rebirth of Hollow Earth Expedition, we were to get Hollow Earth 2 or 2nd edition, it wouldn't be the Ubiquity system. It wouldn't be any of this. It wouldn't be any of that really deep crunch. It would be a Savage World setting. It would be a PBTA game. It would be a different game. Not this perfect summation of oddities. And you could not get away with this. Not at all. Like, God, this game would get canceled so fucking hard. But that's just something we gotta deal with. Something that sits with us until the end of it. So let's see, is there anything else also you can fighting mammoths is also completely valuable. Eoris. I've never heard of that. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put a note for myself in my server. Eoris. Sounds like an odd one. I'm down. I'm still hunting for... Oh god, that's even scary. That's even scarier. That might be a pain in the ass to find. But... welcome to... arguably... the swan song of Exile games. This was their Secrets of the Surface World. It was Exile Games 2006. It was their final hurrah. A game that went away. A thing before its time. But now we get to look at a game that is very much a product of now. Very much a game that does not exist except for now. And arguably one the core reason I actually did this particular curious case is because I wanted to look at Mork Borg. I hate Mork Borg. Controversial opinion, I know. Won a bunch of awards, so it should be good, right? Well, no. But yes. But also no. I think the beautiful thing about Mork Borg is that it is entirely Swedish. What do I mean by it is entirely Swedish? It is aggressively Swedish. And it is a power metal cover. So let's see. It was written by Pell Nielsen. Hello, hello, Salmon. Occult Arthmaster Games. Let's... Have these guys done anything besides Mork Borg? Yeah. It's... very artistic. They have done, let's see, Mork Borg, Boxhan, Barksahan. Actually, let's see, Mork Borg Kickstarter. I don't like that. Yep, there we go. Actually, no, Mork Borg Cult. Well, nope, there we go. By Johan Nod. Oh, he's the artist. Yeah, he's definitely the artist. There's Johan Noir. Johan. But, let's see. From back to... Ooh, I can't read any of that. That's Swedish. Imagine being Swedish. But, as with most things, it's a Kickstarter game. Abort, abort, abort. And... Mork Borg is an interesting game. It says it's a product OSR genre, saves sim roots and retro clones. We try not to care too much about tradition. Or anything. Like Troika, I went over before. The game is designed around the very simple concept of it is open enough for anyone to play, anyone to do anything with, and if you want to add things, go for it. And it did make its money quite over its goal. Like, it did pretty damn good. This came out about like a year ago, I believe. So let's Google Mork. Oh, wow. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. There's a lot of stuff here. Mork Borg, Mork Borg. Everyone loves Mork Borg. And... y'all kind of seeing what my... I think the best way to summarize Mork Borg would be power metal. The game. So, graphic design and art and dead people. So, you may also realize that I have this in double page spread. And that is for a reason, because this game is not... this isn't a game. That's my controversial opinion of the day. This isn't a game. I believe... well, Mork Borg, if you translate it literally, it turns out to be like metal dungeon or something. Like, that's literally all it is. It's... here, actually... oh, Google Translate! Yeah, alright. If you translate it literally, it usually comes out to like Dark City or Dark Dungeon. Kinda depending on like how you decide to interpret it. But it is... it's not exactly a unique name. But this game won a bunch of awards for being so great and wonderful. Everyone loves Mork Borg. But I'm convinced nobody actually played it. And I want to say that for one very simple reason. This is the first page. You have your treasure table and your ash gray ring, and like, oh, it's a vile flute and it's fetus-sized meat golem. It's the famine spoon. It's, the torch burns for an immortal hour. Hold it and live. You can't lose limbs and enter negative AP, but won't die unless you drop the torch. Corpse plundering. Worthless clumsels in your... Oh, it's a black Klugis dagger. Labeled poison bottle. Scalp with long black hair. Golden ball with an invisible seam. Twists open. Blood-stained knuckle dusters. It's very... Look at all the tables, everyone. You like the tables. And finally, let's get to the actual game. This game is pretty. This game is incredibly pretty. And even... Actually, do they mention it? Let's see. Bone Ripper, Bongzilla, Cathedral, Conan. Do they mention it? No, they don't mention it. Very smart. Yeah, this is one of those things that like has me believe that this game again isn't... This game is an art project. This game is not a game. And it would almost be a little bit remiss of me calling it a game. It's an art project, it's an OSR art project that is also happens to be have OSR game mechanics in it. But that's not the point of the game. It is to look cool. Hence why you get things like here, let me shred my throat real fast. Anaxleg, monk of the Cretan Order, encountered the basilisk Varhu in the year 565 and set down the creature's whispered prophecies. These lost texts give known as the Nameless Scriptures. It's... The thing is, you have to... As we're going through this, what I want you to do is I want you to put a power metal backing or like a black metal like guitar in the back. And go... And then the entire time, because this is what the game is. And, you know, oh, the basilisks, and, oh, wow, look how... Let's go to Galgenbrock. Ever more desperate in their recruit... Well, it's the two-headed basilisks. One thing you'll also notice, too, is that there isn't actually any... table of contents. And you will find out why. And the answer is... because there is no need for it. That's not the point of the game. And that's kind of furthering my opinion that this... You don't need it. That's not the point. The point is not... The point is to look at the pretty artwork. It's... You're supposed to look at this. Look at Kyrgyz. Look at this pretty... I want this thing on my fucking wall. Why isn't it on my wall? You know, it's like, oh, the Blood Countess Athelia, the north, where the wind lies. You know, Valley of the Unfortunate Undead. It feels like it's a Dark Souls, trying to be Dark Souls. You know, and when will the agony end? The bleak half year of fallen anguish. The cruel month 16. The end is nigh. The world trembles. Here's all the palms of the Church of the Nameless. Okay, in a world with those who seek riches or redemption, some say the apocalypse is escapable. That might even be stopped. And there you walk around in discord and despair. One hand holds 2d6 times 10 silvers. The other holds a water skin and d4 days worth of food. Your soul and silver are your own. Equal easy loot. You begin with and what you own. Ugh. It's like, yeah, roll a d6 here. Yeah, roll a d12. Roll a d12 here and roll a d12 here, I guess. You roll. Go to page 34 if you want magic, I guess. Here's Yeah, start by choosing a randomized class. Page 46 and onward. We are on page 19. Roll on the tables. Roll number of omens. Roll your hit points. Roll your name your character. It will not save you. Oh, look, it's how edgy we are. Ho ho ho. But here's all the weapons. Femur. And if you notice, every single one of these has like Warhammer, D6, sword, D6, bow, D6 with and you know, oh, unarmed does 2 damage. Oh, the staff does D4, of course. Let's see. Oh, then short sword does D4. What other ones do we have? Do we have a spear in here somewhere? No. Oh, of course, here's the flail that does D8. We have looks like a big sword that does D10. We have the crossbow that has D8 with a 9 on it. Oh, we can't forget about the armors. It's very simplistic. It's light, medium, heavy, and like, oh, you just roll a D6. Oh, I take 5 damage. I take 2 damage instead because I rolled a 3. Will never work when wielding high-hand weapons. Oh, here's all your equipment. Oh boy, look at all the equipment. That's it. Hope you like it. That's what you have. Hit points. You know, negative HP, dead, you're broken, but what does broken do? Oh, sorry, when you're broken, this chart happens. And then you have, oh, well, here's test strength, which is D12, your initiative. Very simplistic. But you can probably get the vague idea at this point. This means nothing. None of this game matters. You're supposed to look at it. You're supposed to flip through the book and say, oh, wow, this is pretty neat. Oh, look, it's so pretty. I'm going to put it up on my, I want to get a print. I want to put it up on my wall next to my other painting, and I want to clap every morning I see it. Be like, oh boy, look, it's pretty. Come on, man. Look at that. It looks awesome. It's just, we haven't even completed how to do characters yet, but here's how to get better, I think. I'll bring you home treasure. Oh, ability changes. Roll d6 against every ability result. Results equal or greater than the ability increases by 1 for a maximum of +6. Results below the ability decrease it by 1. -3 to 1 are always increased by 1 unless the d6 result is 1. The ability is then reduced by 1, but never below -3. Oh, you can't forget about all the powers. D4 every morning. You can use powers, I guess. Now, I want you all to imagine this entirely in Swedish, too. Because that's what the game is arguably meant to be played in. And the reason why I'm doing kind of the double format... Actually, what I can do probably is do something like this. And the reason why I'm doing the double format is because that is what the game is supposed to look like. You're supposed to open up the book and see things. Because originally, I read the game like this. You know, 1 page at a time, because this is how I read them. But some of the pages look terrible if you do that. But if you look at it fully, you get things like this. This is cool. I like this. Like, here's some crazy demands, being like, oh, well, Sorlath killed exactly 12 times, and an org maggot from the ice of Kirkus. Gems with overflowing pockets. Then here's the omens. Again, we haven't actually finished our character yet, because we have to roll for a class, maybe, unless we want to, but we don't have to. And omens just allow you to do things. Yeah, exactly. Like, very pretty. Very pretty. What the omens do, it is effectively a Benny system. You start with 2d2 omens. You just gain omens to do things. Like, yeah, they're bennies. Deal maximum damage, reroll a dice or someone else's, lower damage dealt to you by d6, neutralize a crit, lower test DR by 4. That's it. Oh, but don't worry, we have our terrible traits. Ha ha ha, look, but they don't do anything. But that's not the point. Or whatever the fuck this is. Broken bodies, blasphemous tattoos, red swollen alcoholic nose. Like, so that would be, oh yeah, bad habits. Yeah, see, BAD habit. Huh, I just realized that. I thought that he was just having a stroke when he was doing that. But congratulations, here's that. Troubling tales. Roll d20 or throw a knife at the table to the right. Arcane contest, like you... Art... What? Effects and cursor are things that the caster might not immediately realize. Arcane... Caddis... Oh, Arcane Catastrophe. Oh, God. I hate it. Oh, boy. You feel fine. It's fine. Ha ha ha. Magic STDs. Yeah, I don't think about it. When resting, you store only half of rolled HP. Living things held down by you slowly fall ill. They weaken, their bones become brittle, their teeth and hair fall out. You and a random nearby creature pass out. When you wake up, your souls have switched. Oh, well, we can't forget. A caster rolls the same result twice, explodes in a screaming black fire in which the faces of the dead are seen. D6 damage each round. Water only feeds this fire. Okay, we finally hit the classes. Here are your classes. Yep, everything is metal. That's the thing. Every single thing is metal. Yeah, we're only on page 50 of 96. We finally hit the classes. You don't even need a class. That's not the point. Again, it's like, oh, what's your earliest memories? What are your abilities? Built like a bull, 3d6 plus 2 for strength. Not a bright spark, roll 3d6 minus 1 for agility and presence. You also begin with a random one of these. Oh, yeah. But Sigurd was the strongest man whose throat you ever gnawed, woven from his long gray hair. The sling has never failed you. 2d4 damage requires fist-sized rocks, which perhaps regrettably are everywhere. These operate more in like almost powered by the apocalypse tier classes, quote unquote. It's like, oh boy, here is your ability. Here's your bad birth. Dumped into a moving shit cart, still in your birth call. Mother hanged from a tree outside Gallenbeck. You fell from the corpse. Raised by rats in the gutters of Griff. Kicked and beaten beneath a baker's table in Schleswig. gifted toddler and orphanarium, educated by outlaws in the hovels south of aliens. Goblobber, escaping fate. Yeah, it's like, all right, gutter-born scum. Yeah, it is effectively the death metal game. It's a death metal game. That's all it is. It is not for how do I word this? The best way to word it is that this game is not really meant to be played. That's kind of an odd thing to say, isn't it? This game is to be opened and looked at and have some goth emo kid, edgelord teen who, with a fucking Black Sabbath poster on his wall being like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, I need more of it. More." Like that's the point of it. The point isn't to actually play it, because everything is randomized. Realize it's some basic dice too. I've rolled my class, but I can also say I don't have a class. Who cares? It's a game, not a game at the same time. It's actually astounding how one can do that. It's like, oh, you D4 omens, you get toughness, but you also Eldritch origins. It's wretched royalty. Just like, oh, here's all your silvers, and oh, hand fund to the squire. Horn of the Schleswig lords. Yeah, pretty much. But it also isn't. Here's the heretical priest. Hunted by the two-headed basilisk of the one true faith, the heretic must be found raving in ruins, pacing endlessly down dusty roads and desecrated cathedrals by night. Let's see. Unholy origins. Shepherd's crook. It's a staff that does 2d4 to damage except the faithless humans. The list of sins. Among an accurate document cross-reference against reality to discover unseen evildoers. Oh, called Herb Master. Oh, when in the woods you can find things. Probably raised in calm isolation. Wants to come from an illegal midnight market in Schleswig. Heretic Isle of Kelly. Oh, guy. Ooh. Sneezed. I sneezed. The ruins of the Shadow King's Mons, thicket with memories of mushrooms and smoke. I mean, I want you to picture this painting right here. Except it's on, like, a teenager's wall. None of the words or anything. Like, that's pretty metal, not gonna lie. I'm down. And like, but okay, here's creatures. Here's the goblin. Goblin named Seth. Here's all the monsters. Zukama, the berserker, a rat, a wraith, a lick, a troll, or a no, like. I hate dolls, by the way. I fucking hated this page. I want you to imagine it's 2 a.m. I want you to remember it's 2 a.m. and I like go lie here. I'm like, nah, fuck this game. But like, where's the wraith? Yeah, like wraiths are interesting. Like these things look cool. It kind of has this, this awe. But even then, like you see here, like, oh, if it's captured, it's 55 silver. If you kill one, it's 20 silver. Per liter of its blood, it's 3. But you also get things like, oh, well, these guys are serious crimes, but like, yeah, no, that's the entire reason. Like, it's, oh, well, here, oh, if you capture the lich, it's 200 silvers, but if you capture a blood-drenched skeleton, and you start doing 5 or more damage, completely destroys the skeleton. Like, the troll. Like, it's like, oh, capture all the monsters. It's like it's fucking Pokemon or something. Lady, like an undead doll. I hate it. I hate it so much. Alan, the wicked knife wield. Decapitated lanterns. Moved from instantly filthy knife become insanely filthy knife. Magical douse all nearby light sources. The within. And then you have like, oh, here's outcast followers, pale ones. Oh, here's the rat-back sludge in the Shadow King's Lost Heir, an introductory dungeon crawl for Mork Borg. But and then, oh yeah, here's actually the final content thing of like how things are, and you realize it's in complete random order and nothing really matters. Here's the reference card, I guess. D20 plus ability equal or greater than DR. That's not exactly an intense game. Here's the ending. Really not suitable for those 16 years of age. So, what are my thoughts on Mork Borg, the indie darling that won a bajillion awards for being such a great and wonderful game, and how it's awesome and cool, and it's not a game. That's my thoughts on Mork Borg. It's not a game. It's not supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be an art project. It is a very pretty art book of stuff. It's to, hey, kids, look at this, look at the, Lady Porcelain, who's a doll, undead doll, and look at all her stats. Look, she has stats. Everyone's like, yay! Everyone claps. But as an actual game, what's here that isn't done elsewhere? Well, I want an edgy, game about cool metal monster. Shadow the Demon Lord does it 10 times better. You get meat, you have the right amount of meat, you have the right amount of ease. Everything about it, Shadow the Demon Lord does. I want an OSR game. OSR games are so broad, so open. You can do anything you want with them. Than this. So what's the purpose of this game? What is the reason it exists? It exists because it's pretty. Because it is a graphic design triumph, arguably. The game is gorgeous. The artwork is amazing. The layout work is phenomenal. If you like that kind of stuff, I hate it personally. But like every part of this game just oozes that feeling, that like meaty dread of like, you're going to the dungeon now. Time for some metal music. Like, you're never stopping. Arguably, Mork Borg was one of the feelings I was trying to get for Fear and Hunger, Forgotten Chronicles, to invoke that same feeling of dread, of fear, of scariness. While I tried for Fear and Hunger, Forgotten Chronicles to have a little bit meat to it, Mork Borg says you don't need meat, you need to make things pretty. And pretty it does. However, what does Mork Borg symbolize? What does Troika symbolize? What does a lot of these things symbolize? In a negative, I'm a little bit doom posting here, but it's what I do. I feel that tabletop game and tabletop game industry is kind of hitting, you could call it the second phase of the quote revolution, end quote. And if Hollow Earth Expedition, we use that kind of like good before its time. It needed another 5 years to become the game everyone talks about. It needed to come out 3 years earlier to become the game everyone talks about. And Hillfolk is a game of, right during the narrative revolution. It was a game that was almost entirely narrative and kind of invoked that feeling of time for stories, time for, drama and all of that. Mork Borg and Troika demonstrate kind of the second phase of the narrative revolution. It's detailing a time when those dice mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's a passing fad. That's kind of an odd way of putting it, but you need to look pretty. You need to look nice rather than play nice, because that's what it's becoming. It's becoming an art project. And Mork Borg, I think, is kind of a symptom of a broader cause. Mork Borg is not a complicated game. It is a D20 game. It is an anemic D20 game with a bunch of random charts that mean nothing. Random charts are good random charts help invoke story. Bad random charts help invoke nothing. Now, these charts are unique as they invoke a story, but they invoke a very particular story. You are playing Mork Borg's game, because of course there's old Sylvester's hair sling, because I'm a eating berserker, because I've eaten the flesh of another human being. But you also look at it and be like, what? Wait a second. I've spent time, I've spent money, I've spent things for something that doesn't mean anything. You're not playing a game with this. You're playing an art piece. And arguably, I think that was the entire point of Mork Borg. Yeah, Golden Sky Stories. And Golden Sky Stories, I have a few ideas for Curious Cases. Golden Sky Stories is going to go in the Japanese one, definitely. I have been bothered to do a PBTA one. That's going to be me losing my fucking mind. But I think things like Mork Borg, Troika, and a lot of these other games are showing a trend toward, we want easy hackable art pieces. We don't want games necessarily. There's already games out there. Just play D&D 5th edition. Just play, the game that already exists. You don't need anything else. That's why Cyborium is getting a 5th edition hat, because again, you don't need any other game. You already have all the games you need. We have games at home. You don't need a game. We have D&D at home. Play D&D. Buy D&D books. Buy this, buy that. And I think I'm sad. And I'm worried for the future. because Mork Borg won Best Game last year. A lazy I actually want to call it a lazy OSR, a basic OSR game with it doesn't have any unique mechanics in it. There's no unique mechanics in this game. It's D20 and charts. And you might say, oh, well, the classes are really thematic. So fucking what? The classes aren't thematic. It's warrior, rogue, mage. Yeah, it's a randomized game. Yeah, it was a full randomized game. There's 1,000. What did it win at? What did it win fully? And the Ennies. I know the Ennie, but we don't really have anything else. Welcome to Ennies. Any awards? Let's see, 2020. Yeah, let's see, best. Oh, it won silver. It won silver for best game. Alien, the role-playing game, obviously won for 2020, but it got silver. So if we look at Mork Borg, it did get best layout and design, and it even labeled itself as an art punk RPG. Yeah, it's art punk, and yeah, won second to the Aliens role-playing game. But it also got best writing and product of the year. And I think that's kind of an endemic of what there is. There is, Eric. That's the funny thing. There is something there. And that thing there is that you now have a 96-page book that you can put on your counter. And, little Timmy little Timmy, who you remember now, a 16-year-old Edge will be like, here, read through this. It looks cool. And it's like, wow, cool. It's an art book. It's a product. That's all it is. This game isn't a game. It's not supposed to be a game. It's a product. You are buying an art book. You are buying a bunch of random tables that are thematically like a game. Yeah, it's an OSR. Everyone kind of winks at each other like, yeah, this is totally an OSR. Duh. But that's not the point. The point is, it's a OSR art piece. It's an art piece saying that it's a game. Am I saying it's the Banksy of RPGs? Is it someone, taping a banana to a wall and claiming it's art? Yes. And that's what it is. Mork Borg has taped the banana to the wall and claimed that it is art, and everyone loves it because it's art. It's, my God, I could really see the themes and the writing, and it's really thematic. I love the smell of my own farts. Like, it's for those people. It's for, well, the P crowd, the P word crowd that we can't really say, but they're pretentious. Mork Borg isn't a game. You're not supposed to play it. And the game is you're supposed to look at it. It's a product. It is something that you open up and be like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's a game where artists can go in and like, of course I'm a role-playing game designer. Would you say we were reaching the fast food era of RPGs, of the vaporwave of RPGs? I think we're hitting an odd point of a kind of vaporwave. However, my fear is people are going to find the fast food. People are going to find them. And I remember there was a thread on TG about, what 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons going to look like. And someone purported like this is what 6th edition is going to look like. This is what it's most likely. It's going to be heavily commercialized. It's going to be, everything is going to have to be bought, and you're not supposed to hack anything, but if you do hack something, it's, oh, well, you have to buy the books, you have to buy the services, you have to buy the app, you have to buy the... that'll be the fast food of RPGs. D&D and some of its ilk. Everything will have to eventually conform to that. That's why we see so many games now being like, oh, we're making a 5th edition supplement. Oh, we're making a 5th edition supplement. Okay, we're making 5th edition. Anime 5e, which is technically the 2nd edition of the 3rd edition of a different book. But we need to put 5e on it because 5e is the big thing. 5e is the McDonald's. But now we're hitting this odd point of the counterculture is here, and this is what the counterculture is. It's not, hey everyone, let's focus on the mechanics, let's focus on the the game part of the role-playing game. It's becoming almost an aesthetic. That's the weird thing. Role-playing games are becoming an aesthetic, not a game. It'd be kind of honestly, make a poppy supplement for a whatever game. Yeah, yeah. it's that's one thing I'm worried about. If things like Mork Borg, I don't know if Mork Borg is a flash in the pond and we won a bunch of things that everyone loves about it, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's the greatest game ever, because it's pretty, and because it's thematic, and because it kind of hits all the little right boxes where it needs to. It's kind of like Dark Souls. Yeah, it's kind of like that. You kind of get in the item descriptions. It has that OSR feel to it. I'm like, all right, I like OSR. This is fun. It's not D&D, even though it's D20. My fear is that we'll get more games that aren't games. That we'll get everyone making a tabletop game, because it's not a tabletop game anymore. It's a tabletop game aesthetic. It's, hey kids, I'm a I think the good one, the Wendy's RPG, Feast of Legends. That was the most soulless goddamn game I've ever read, because it treated it as role-playing games as an aesthetic. It was a, hey guys, here's the Wendy's RPG, wink. Look at how quirky and funny we are. My fear is that we're going to end up with a lot more things like that. We're going to get, here's the pop RPG, here's the country RPG, here's the, everything will get an RPG, not because it's a game that deserves to be made. It's because it's another piece of art. It's going to be part of a, don't worry, here's part of our media line. Of course we have an RPG with it. Of course we have this. Of course we have that. Of course we have that. Yeah, Disney, honestly, you want me to be perfectly honest, I'm surprised Disney hasn't hopped on this shit. But yeah, what happens when Disney decides they want to make their own game, and you have the Disney system and everyone's going to buy the Disney system? It could not even work. It could be a terrible, awful thing that barely functions, but people will buy it because it's the Disney RPG. Look, I can play Donald Duck. This is the greatest thing ever. Bang, I'll shoot myself in the fucking head if that happens. But we'll get the Disney RPG. We'll get a lot of these very soulless product games, and then you'll get the, here's the Banksy RPGs, here's the RPG aesthetic, and my fear is that it'll dilute the industry. And what I mean by that is, you will get people entering into this sphere for the art of it. It won't be, hey, anyone want to play a game? Hey, does anyone want to sit around a table, have a beer or two, shoot the shit, go on a quest to kill dragons? Or will we eventually hit a point where that's kind of seen as a faux pas, in a way? You're not really supposed to play the games, you're supposed to look at them and be very impressed with how, yes. Smells delicious. Yeah, and maybe I'm just thinking, maybe I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe this is just a flash in the pond. But I've seen enough. I've seen enough games that, even in the series, that are so, dare I say, market forward. We're making this game to sell. Yeah, you're already supposed to make funny references for 3 hours and eat pizza, not play. Yeah. Or people think it's like, or everyone has to make their own critical role. Like, everyone has to be entertaining or something like that. Which, critical role, I can do an entire thing on critical role, but like my thing with that is that it's a pop RPG. It is, hey, it's the, you know, yeah, it's like the thing with Critical Role is that Critical Role is not Matt Mercer's game. It was never Matt Mercer's game. Critical Role was a bunch of people got together and made an agreement. Money was put into it, parts were put into it, people were hired, there are camera people, there are makeup people, and everyone got together because everyone knew all of those people were doing their own thing. They all have careers. They're voice actors, they're people who do things. That's fine. But I think it kind of evolved way more beyond what it is. And that's what people think role playing games are sometimes. Like, this is what it is. Or they think it is, you know, I want a story arc being like, you're a fucking dwarf warrior, just kill goblins. Please, for God's sakes, we are playing a mediocre OSR. I want to have fun. I am 3 beers deep and I do not care about your fucking story arc. I want you to kill the goblins already. Just kill them. That summarizes like a majority of games I've realized. Like the fucking Spanish guys get these games and they never translate them because I don't think they're allowed to. But like, it was kind of like just a development of the industry in general. People think that the games are exactly. People are thinking games are not really games anymore. They're something that you kind of like lord over people, being like, yeah, I'm me, I play RPGs and I'm special. I play D&D, and it's always odd when I see people like, look how cool I am playing D&D, and it's like you've played 3 sessions of, as a druid and nothing fucking happened. Like, I'm not going to say like, as a veteran, I am great. No, I'm gonna say like, yeah, that's cool. Neat, I guess. It's not like something that you can like lord over people. Like, I'm more nerdier than you or something. Or it's like, oh, I've watched Critical Role and like I'm effectively a master at D&D. No, that's not how D&D is played. I've always said tabletop games excel at being social experiences. It is a time for when your people get together to do something, and you're guided by dice. But ultimately, the best times I've ever had playing tabletop games was I was sitting around the table with a bunch of people I enjoyed being around, going on an adventure and having fun. It was the times when me and my friends were looking at a situation, we're like, oh, we're fucked. Like, there's a dozen orcs and there's only 4 of us. What are we gonna do? And be like, I'll put them all to sleep, and then we'll pull back a little bit. We'll fight them at a choke point. Like, genius. Or when we're 3 beers, where everyone's 3 beers deep, and the plan goes from we'll throw the halfling, guys. We'll just fucking eat the halfling. Or I'm talking with my guys, and they're just like, Notepad, it's time for grappling hook adventures. Like, we don't need grappling hooks, and then inevitably they'll come out. Like, I think that's what tabletop RPGs excel at. because they help people who are not naturally extroverts to get into it, and it appeals to that lizard brain, that monkey brain, who likes numbers, who likes trying to find optimal combinations, and gets people involved. My fear for the future, my biggest fear, is that the sphere will become dominated not by people who want to have fun with a game, who will want to become a part of it. We're the art scene, and that worries me. And it worries me because companies are going to hop on that immediately. Because we already kind of have the indie companies, we also have the big companies. Except instead of like, oh, I'm a food connoisseur and here's like the little fancy restaurants downtown, it's a very much smaller market, and the fast food of tabletop is D&D. And everyone's going to go to D&D. Everyone's going to want to convert things to D&D because there's a very small market, very small amount of money in it. And I don't want to say shit's hopeless, we're all fucked, this industry's going to crash and burn with no survivors. I'm going to say that there's going to hit a point where it's going to divide. And it's going to divide rough. And we're going to get, it's kind of like the, I would say early 2010s, late 2000s. Kind of when the story game thing was picking up. Kind of when the board game renaissance kicked on. There was a point. Everyone had to kind of make a decision. Are you story games or are you crunch? Story game guys won. But we're kind of going back into that crunchy phase. What I'm worried about is that we're going to get people who are... Yeah, God, LGS. We're going to get people who are, I'm in for the art, I am in for the game. And I'm worried that the people who are in it for the game are going to lose that fight. They're going to get pushed to the side, and they're not going to be what people want. The next D&D book will have hardly any mechanics in it. It'll just be a really pretty book to look at. Because you don't need it. No, because no one actually plays. You don't play. It's like, you don't play Mork Borg. You don't play Troika. You don't play, Hillfolk. You look at them and say, wow, look how pretty this is. But maybe I'm just doom posting. Maybe I'm just a boomer and scared that the future is going to be something that I can't control. And I'm right. And future, you can't control the future. I can only hope that these little videos, these little streams, inform people, give context for things in the future of Mork Borg, that we don't make every game Mork Borg, that we don't make every game Troikas, that there is room for other kind of games out there, and that people want to learn about these other things, but it's hard, and that we should struggle for good things, good games, rather than strictly, how do I want to word this? We should struggle for good games more than we should struggle for pretty games. And because anything can be pretty, but it takes time, it takes effort to make something good. But I'm afraid that in the future, that's going to be called into question. So, thank you all for watching. No, I kind of have my spiel near the end there. A little bit of doom posting, but that's what I do best. Oh God. Oh God, my eyes hurt. My eyes burn. Even the websites like this. Oh God. Hey, at least they have t-shirts. Godspeed. Good luck, everyone. Next Monday, we'll be doing Endless Adventures again. I worked on that a little bit last night. We'll hopefully get everything set up there. I will begin amassing things for the next Curious Case. Won't be this Saturday. Probably 2 weeks, depending on what I can find. So probably like the 8th of... Fuck me, it's already almost May. Fuck. 8th of May, that's kind of like tentatively speaking. We'll see if I can't do about 2 Curious Cases a month. But kind of depends on what I can find. Because everything being 5e is kind of hard. So, thank you all. Godspeed, good luck. I will catch you all on the flip side. And whatever you do, support things you like. Support good games and have fun.